Today's hearing about restoring prosperity in American communities by examining the failures of status quo housing policy. This is an important topic that we have correctly devoted a lot of attention to in this Congress and, frankly, in previous Congresses. Thus far, over the last 12 months, the subcommittee has held 6 hearings exploring various aspects of how everyday Americans are having their lives impacted by bad government decisions and failed federal policies on housing. The result is reduced prosperity, reduced customer choice, and reduced optimism that things are going to get better anytime soon. People aren't believing that it's really transitory. Making matters worse, as we will hear from testimony today, is the alarming notion that the local input in the process doesn't even matter or isn't necessary. In fact, sometimes it's treated as a barrier. Instead of working collaboratively with local mayors, supervisors, and other county officials to balance the needs of residents in their own communities, all too often bureaucrats, whether in state governments like Albany or in Washington, D.C., want to impose mandates on places like Orangetown, Nyack, New York City, Cincinnati, Middletown, Lincoln, Nebraska. Ironically, it's the local citizens who are forced to implement their overreaching and excessively expensive policies, and to add insult into injury, they're the ones that end up footing the bill. So, by the way, these same bureaucrats say that anyone who opposes these ideas isn't just wrong, they're mean-spirited and selfish people. But simply put, bureaucrats pushing these ideas don't really care about what local residents think. They have an agenda, and they're seeking to push it, and it's almost like no matter what, they're inclined to not listen. So today, hopefully, we'll give voice to local communities and a more wide-ranging set of views. So in Congress, every member is dealing with some aspect of affordable housing. Members of our committee are particularly focused on legislation that provides solution. I especially want to thank my colleagues Mike Flood from Nebraska and Mike Lawler, who many of you know locally. They've been some of the most committed members on housing policy, hosting roundtables in their districts and advancing legislation to try to address the issues. So for our 7th hearing, we decided to travel to New York, to our colleague Mike Lawler's district, so that we could see firsthand the impacts that poorly designed, heavy-handed federal, state, and local housing mandates are having. Folks in Rockland County find themselves in a situation that's become all too common in areas around the country. Housing's already been too expensive, and now inventory is limited. Lawmakers' response to force mandates sounds good on paper, but ends up hurting affordability and availability for residents most in need. These impacts are real. I look forward to addressing them with our witnesses today.